Hello, everyone. Welcome to the English Podcast Classroom. I'm Mia, and I'm so happy you're here with us today.
And I'm Henry. It's great to have you listening. We're really excited about today's topic.
Yes, today we're going to talk about something really important and useful for everyday conversations. We're going to discuss personality and emotions.
That's right. These are words and expressions you'll use all the time when you meet new people, talk about your friends, or just describe how you're feeling.
Exactly. And don't worry if you're listening and thinking, oh, this sounds difficult. We're going to make it really easy to understand. We'll use lots of examples, and we'll talk in a natural way, just like friends having a conversation.
We're speaking at an intermediate level today, so if you're a B1 or B2 learner, this episode is perfect for you. But even if you're a bit below or above that level, you'll still learn something useful.
And remember, the best way to learn is to listen carefully and try to use these words and expressions in your own conversations. Maybe even pause the podcast sometimes and repeat what we say.
Good idea. So, are you ready to learn how to talk about personality and emotions in English?
Let's get started.
So, Mia, let's begin with personality. When we talk about personality, we're describing what kind of person someone is, right?
Exactly. Personality is about the characteristics that make each person unique. It's how someone behaves, thinks, and feels in general.
Right. So, for example, some people are very outgoing. That means they're friendly, social, and they enjoy being around other people.
Yes, I think I'm quite outgoing, actually. I love meeting new people and having conversations. I get energy from being with others.
I can see that about you. You're always so cheerful and ready to chat. I'm a bit different, though. I'm more introverted.
Oh, what does introverted mean for our listeners?
Good question. An introverted person is someone who prefers quieter environments and smaller groups. Introverts often need time alone to recharge their energy. It doesn't mean they're shy or unfriendly, they just prefer calm, peaceful situations.
That makes sense. So you're outgoing or extroverted, and Henry is more introverted. These are two very common personality types.
Exactly. And neither one is better than the other. They're just different ways of being.
I agree completely. Now, let's talk about some other personality traits. Henry, would you say you're a serious person or a funny person?
Hmm, that's interesting. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I can be serious when I need to be, especially at work or when I'm dealing with important things, but I also enjoy laughing and making jokes with my friends.
That's a good balance. I think I'm naturally more cheerful and lighthearted. I try to see the positive side of things and make people smile.
And that's a wonderful quality. Being cheerful means you're happy and positive most of the time. People enjoy being around cheerful people because they bring good energy.
Thank you. What about being shy? Do you know anyone who's shy, Henry?
Oh, yes, my younger cousin is quite shy. When she meets new people, she becomes very quiet and doesn't say much. She feels uncomfortable or nervous in social situations.
Oh, poor thing. But, being shy is very common, especially for younger people or in new situations. The good news is that many shy people become more confident as they get older and have more experiences.
That's true. Actually, let's talk about confidence. What does it mean to be confident?
Being confident means you believe in yourself and your abilities. A confident person isn't afraid to try new things or speak up in groups. They trust themselves.
Right. Confidence is really important in life. It helps you achieve your goals and communicate better with others.
Absolutely. But we should mention that there's a difference between being confident and being arrogant.
Oh, yes, that's an important distinction. An arrogant person thinks they're better than everyone else. They're overconfident and often rude or disrespectful to others.
Exactly. Nobody likes arrogant people, but everyone appreciates someone who's confident in a healthy way.
Well said. Now, let's talk about another personality trait. Are you an organized person, Mia?
Not really, to be honest. My desk is usually a bit messy, and I sometimes forget where I put things, but I'm working on it.
That's okay. I'm quite organized myself. I like to plan things, make lists, and keep everything in order. It helps me feel calm and in control.
I wish I were more like that. Organized people are so efficient. They manage their time well and don't forget important things.
Well, the opposite of organized is disorganized or messy. And honestly, some very creative people are a bit disorganized. Their minds are full of ideas, so they don't worry too much about order.
And that's a nice way to look at it. Speaking of creativity, that's another personality trait. A creative person is someone who has lots of original ideas and enjoys making or designing new things.
True. Creative people are often artists, writers, musicians, or designers, but you can be creative in any job or activity.
Definitely. Now, what about being kind? I think kindness is one of the most important personality traits.
I completely agree. A kind person is caring, helpful, and considerate of others' feelings. They treat people with respect and compassion.
Yes, and kind people make the world a better place. They're generous with their time and are always willing to help when someone needs support.
On the other hand, some people can be selfish. A selfish person only thinks about themselves and doesn't consider other people's needs or feelings.
That's sad, but unfortunately true. Selfish people are difficult to be friends with because they always want things their own way.
Right. Let's talk about another important trait. Are you patient, Mia?
It depends on the situation. I can be patient with people, especially when they're learning something new, but I'm not very patient when I'm waiting in long lines or stuck in traffic.
That's understandable. Patience means you can wait calmly without getting annoyed or upset. Patient people stay calm even when things take a long time.
Yes, and the opposite is impatient. An impatient person gets frustrated easily and wants everything to happen right away.
Exactly. I try to be patient, but it's not always easy. It's something we all have to practice.
For sure. Now, let's discuss being reliable. Henry, would you say you're a reliable person?
I hope so. I try to be. Being reliable means people can trust you and depend on you. If you promise to do something, you do it.
That's right. Reliable people show up on time, keep their promises, and follow through on their commitments. They're the kind of friends or coworkers everyone wants to have.
The opposite would be unreliable. An unreliable person doesn't keep their promises and often lets people down.
Yes, and that can damage relationships. Trust is so important in any friendship or partnership.
Absolutely. What about being generous? Is that important to you?
Oh, yes. A generous person likes to give and share with others. They're not just generous with money, but also with their time, attention, and support.
I love that definition. Generosity comes in many forms. Sometimes just listening to a friend who needs to talk is a generous act.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about some personality traits that relate to how people handle challenges. Henry, are you an optimistic person?
I try to be. An optimistic person sees the positive side of situations and believes good things will happen. They have hope for the future.
I'm optimistic too. Even when things are difficult, I try to tell myself that everything will work out in the end.
That's a healthy attitude. The opposite is pessimistic. A pessimistic person always expects the worst and focuses on negative possibilities.
Yes, and being too pessimistic can make life harder than it needs to be. Of course, it's good to be realistic sometimes, but constant negativity isn't helpful.
I agree. Balance is key. Speaking of balance, let's talk about being flexible. Are you flexible, Mia?
I think so. Being flexible means you can adapt to changes and new situations easily. You don't get upset when plans change.
Right. Flexible people are easygoing and can adjust their thinking or behavior when needed.
Yes, and in today's fast-changing world, flexibility is really important. The opposite would be rigid or stubborn.
Exactly. A stubborn person refuses to change their mind or try new ways of doing things, even when it would be helpful.
Stubborn people can be frustrating to deal with, though sometimes being stubborn about your values or goals can be a good thing.
That's true. There's a fine line between being determined and being stubborn.
Good point. Let's talk about determination. A determined person doesn't give up easily. They keep trying to achieve their goals even when things are difficult.
Yes, determination is a very positive trait. Determined people are persistent and hardworking.
Absolutely. Now, what about being spontaneous? Are you spontaneous, Henry?
Not very. A spontaneous person does things without much planning. They're impulsive and like to make quick decisions based on how they feel in the moment.
I'm more spontaneous than you, I think. I sometimes decide to take a trip or try something new without planning too much in advance.
And that can be fun, but I prefer to plan things carefully. I'm more cautious.
Being cautious means you think carefully before making decisions and you try to avoid risks, right?
Exactly. Cautious people consider the possible consequences before they act.
Both approaches have their benefits. Spontaneous people have exciting adventures, and cautious people avoid unnecessary problems.
Well said. Now, shall we talk about emotions? Because personality and emotions are closely connected.
Yes, let's do that. Emotions are feelings that we experience in response to different situations. Everyone has emotions, and they can change many times throughout the day.
Right. The most basic emotion is probably happiness. When you're happy, you feel good, satisfied, and pleased with life.
Yes, and there are different levels of happiness. You might feel content, which means you're satisfied and peaceful, or you might feel joyful, which is a stronger, more excited kind of happiness.
Good distinction. And when something really wonderful happens, you might feel overjoyed or thrilled. These words mean extremely happy.
Exactly. There's also a nice expression, being over the moon. If someone says, I'm over the moon, it means they're extremely happy about something.
That's a great idiom. For example, when I got the job offer, I was over the moon.
Perfect example. Now, let's talk about the opposite of happiness, which is sadness. When you're sad, you feel unhappy or down.
Yes, and just like happiness, there are different levels of sadness. You might feel a bit disappointed if something didn't go the way you hoped.
Right. Or you might feel miserable, which means very sad and uncomfortable.
There's also a nice expression for being sad, feeling blue. If someone says, I'm feeling a bit blue today, it means they're feeling sad.
I love that expression. It's quite gentle and poetic. Another one is feeling down in the dumps, which means feeling sad or depressed.
Good one. Now, what about anger? That's another basic emotion. When you're angry, you feel mad or upset because something bothered you or wasn't fair.
Yes, anger is a natural emotion, but it's important to express it in healthy ways. Some people get furious, which means extremely angry.
Right, and some people describe being angry as being annoyed or irritated. These words mean slightly angry or bothered by something.
Exactly. For example, I was annoyed when my neighbor's dog kept barking all night.
Perfect example. There's also frustrated. When you're frustrated, you feel annoyed because you can't do something or because something isn't working the way you want.
Oh, I get frustrated sometimes when my computer is slow or when I can't solve a problem.
Me too. It's a very common feeling. Now, let's talk about fear. Fear is what you feel when you think something bad might happen or when you're in danger.
Yes, and there are different words for different levels of fear. If you're nervous, you feel a little worried or anxious about something.
Right. For example, I always feel nervous before giving a presentation.
Good example. And if the fear is stronger, you might feel scared or frightened.
Exactly. And if you're extremely afraid, you might feel terrified or horrified.
Yes, those are very strong words. There's also the word anxious, which means worried and nervous, especially about something that might happen in the future.
That's a good word to know. Many people feel anxious before important events like exams, job interviews, or medical appointments.
Definitely. Anxiety is very common in modern life. Now, let's talk about a more positive emotion, excitement. When you're excited, you feel very happy and enthusiastic about something that's going to happen.
Yes, for example, I'm so excited about my vacation next week.
Perfect. And when you're enthusiastic, it means you're very interested in something and you have a lot of positive energy about it.
Right. Enthusiastic people are passionate about their interests and they show it clearly.
Absolutely. Now, what about surprise? When you're surprised, you feel shocked or amazed because something unexpected happened.
Yes, surprise can be positive or negative. You might be pleasantly surprised if something good happens that you didn't expect.
Right. For example, I was pleasantly surprised when my friends threw me a birthday party.
Nice example. Or you might be shocked or stunned if something very unexpected happens, whether it's good or bad.
Exactly. Let's talk about another common emotion, stress. When you're stressed, you feel pressure and tension because you have too many things to worry about or too much to do.
Yes, stress is unfortunately very common. You might say, I'm feeling stressed about work, or this situation is stressful.
Right. And when you have too much stress, you might feel overwhelmed, which means you feel like you can't handle everything.
That's a great word. I'm feeling overwhelmed means there's too much happening and you don't know how to deal with it all.
Yes, and it's important to recognize when you're feeling overwhelmed and ask for help or take a break.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the opposite of stress, which is relaxation. When you're relaxed, you feel calm, peaceful, and comfortable.
Oh, I love feeling relaxed. It's such a nice state to be in. You might say, I feel so relaxed after a massage, or this music is very relaxing.
Yes, and when you're calm, you're not upset or excited. You're peaceful and in control of your emotions.
Exactly. Being calm is really important, especially in difficult situations. Now, let's talk about embarrassment. When you're embarrassed, you feel uncomfortable or ashamed because you did something awkward in front of other people.
Oh, yes, everyone has felt embarrassed at some point. For example, if you trip and fall in public, you might feel embarrassed.
Right. Or if you forget someone's name or say something silly, you might feel embarrassed.
There are some good expressions for this. You might say, my face turned red, or I was so embarrassed I wanted to disappear.
Those are great expressions. Now, what about guilt? When you feel guilty, you feel bad because you did something wrong or hurt someone.
Yes, guilt is an uncomfortable emotion. For example, I felt guilty about lying to my friend, or she felt guilty for forgetting her mother's birthday.
Right. Guilt can actually be helpful because it reminds us to treat people better and make amends when we've done something wrong.
That's a good point. Now, let's talk about loneliness. When you're lonely, you feel sad because you're alone or you don't have anyone to connect with.
Yes, loneliness is a painful emotion. You might say, I feel lonely when I move to a new city, or he feels lonely because all his friends moved away.
It's important to remember that you can feel lonely even when you're surrounded by people if you don't feel connected to them.
That's very true. Quality connections are more important than quantity. Now let's talk about jealousy. When you're jealous, you feel upset because someone else has something you want, or because you're afraid of losing someone's attention to another person.
Yes, jealousy is a tricky emotion. For example, she felt jealous when her friend got promoted, or he was jealous of his girlfriend's friendship with another man.
Right. Jealousy is natural, but too much jealousy can cause problems in relationships.
Definitely. Now let's talk about pride. When you feel proud, you feel satisfied and happy about something you or someone close to you has achieved.
Yes, pride is generally a positive emotion. For example, I'm proud of my daughter for graduating, or he felt proud after finishing the marathon.
Exactly. It's good to feel proud of your accomplishments. Now, let's talk about disappointment. When you're disappointed, you feel sad because something didn't meet your expectations.
Yes, disappointment is very common. For example, I was disappointed when the concert was canceled, or she felt disappointed by her test score.
Right. Everyone experiences disappointment sometimes, and it's important to learn how to cope with it.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about how emotions can change in different situations. Henry, what makes you feel happy?
Good question. I feel happy when I spend time with my family and close friends. I also feel happy when I'm reading a good book or when I accomplish something I've been working on.
Those are lovely things. I feel happy when I'm listening to music, dancing, or having interesting conversations with people. I also feel happy when I see beautiful nature, like a sunset or the ocean.
Those sound wonderful. What about nervousness? When do you feel nervous?
I feel nervous before speaking in front of large groups. Even though I'm usually confident, public speaking still makes me a bit anxious. What about you?
I feel nervous when I have to make important decisions, especially ones that will affect other people. I worry about making the wrong choice.
That's understandable. And when do you feel angry or frustrated?
I feel frustrated when people are rude or inconsiderate, especially in situations like traffic or crowded public spaces. I also get frustrated with myself when I make careless mistakes.
I can relate to that. I feel angry when I see injustice or when someone treats another person badly. I can't stand bullying or unfairness.
Those are good reasons to feel angry. Now, what makes you feel relaxed?
I feel relaxed when I'm at home in comfortable clothes, maybe watching a movie or having a cup of tea. I also feel relaxed after exercising because it releases all my tension.
Exercise is great for relaxation. I feel relaxed when I'm in nature, like hiking in the mountains or walking by a lake. The fresh air and quiet environment really calm me down.
That sounds peaceful. Now, let's talk about being in a good mood versus being in a bad mood. These are really useful expressions.
Yes, when you're in a good mood, you feel happy, positive, and friendly. Everything seems easier and more enjoyable.
Right. For example, my boss is in a good mood today, so it's a great time to ask for that day off.
Perfect example. And when you're in a bad mood, you feel irritable, negative, or unhappy. Small things bother you more than usual.
Yes, everyone has days when they're in a bad mood. For example, I'm in a bad mood because I didn't sleep well last night.
That's very common. Poor sleep definitely affects our mood. There's another expression I like, being moody. A moody person's emotions change quickly and unpredictably.
Oh, yes, she's quite moody today. Happy one moment and upset the next.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about mixed emotions. Sometimes we feel more than one emotion at the same time.
That's so true. For example, you might feel happy and nervous at the same time, like when you're starting a new job.
Great example. Or you might feel sad and relieved at the same time, like when a difficult relationship ends.
Yes, mixed emotions are very normal and very human. Life isn't always simple, and neither are our feelings.
Well said. Now, let's talk about emotional intelligence. This is an important concept. Emotional intelligence means understanding your own emotions and other people's emotions.
Yes, people with high emotional intelligence can recognize how they're feeling and why. They can also sense how others are feeling and respond appropriately.
Exactly. They're good at managing their emotions and communicating about feelings in healthy ways.
Emotional intelligence is really important for relationships, work, and overall happiness. It's something everyone can develop and improve.
Absolutely. Now, let's discuss some more expressions about emotions. Have you heard the phrase to bottle up your emotions?
Yes, it means to keep your feelings inside and not express them. For example, he bottles up his emotions and never talks about how he feels.
Right, and that's usually not healthy. It's better to express your emotions in appropriate ways.
I agree. Another expression is to wear your heart on your sleeve. This means you show your emotions openly and don't hide how you feel.
Yes, she wears her heart on her sleeve. You always know when she's happy or sad.
Exactly. And there's to lose your temper, which means to suddenly become very angry.
Right. He lost his temper when someone scratched his car.
Good example. What about to keep your cool? This means to stay calm in a difficult or stressful situation.
Yes, she kept her cool during the crisis and helped everyone stay calm.
Perfect. There's also to have a thick skin, which means you're not easily upset by criticism or negative comments.
That's a useful trait to have. You need a thick skin to work in customer service because some people can be very rude.
So true. The opposite would be to be thin-skinned, which means you're sensitive and easily hurt by what others say.
Right. He's quite thin-skinned. Even gentle criticism upsets him.
These are such useful expressions. Let's talk about a few more. What about to get cold feet?
Oh, this is a good one. It means to suddenly feel nervous or afraid about something you were planning to do, so you want to change your mind.
Yes. For example, she got cold feet the day before her wedding and almost canceled it.
Exactly. Another one is to be on edge, which means to feel nervous, tense, or irritable.
Right. Everyone at work is on edge because the boss is announcing layoffs tomorrow.
Good example. What about to feel under the weather? This means to feel slightly sick or unwell.
Yes. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I'm going to stay home and rest.
Perfect. Now let's talk about to be on top of the world. This means to feel extremely happy and successful.
I love this expression. After winning the championship, the team was on top of the world.
Wonderful example. And the opposite might be to hit rock bottom, which means to reach the lowest, worst point emotionally.
Yes, that's a powerful expression. After losing his job and going through a divorce, he felt like he'd hit rock bottom.
That's a tough situation. But often when people hit rock bottom, things can only get better from there.
That's a hopeful way to look at it. Now, let's talk about personality and emotions together. How would you describe your personality when it comes to handling emotions, Henry?
That's an interesting question. I'd say I'm quite calm and even-tempered. I don't get too excited or too upset very often. I try to stay balanced.
That's a great quality. Being even-tempered means your mood is stable and you don't have extreme emotional reactions.
Thanks. What about you, Mia? How would you describe yourself?
I think I'm quite expressive. I show my emotions clearly. When I'm happy, everyone knows it. And when I'm upset, people can tell. I'm not good at hiding my feelings.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Being expressive can make you very genuine and easy to connect with.
Thank you. I think it's important to be authentic about how we feel. Now, let's talk about sensitive people. Are you sensitive, Henry?
I think I'm moderately sensitive. A sensitive person feels emotions deeply and is very aware of other people's feelings too. They're easily affected by what happens around them.
Yes, and being sensitive can be a strength. Sensitive people are often very empathetic and caring.
Absolutely. The word empathetic is important. An empathetic person can understand and share the feelings of others. They put themselves in other people's shoes.
Exactly. Empathy is so important for good relationships. If you're empathetic, you can say, I understand how you feel, and really mean it.
Right. The opposite would be someone who's insensitive or lacking in empathy. They don't notice or care about other people's feelings.
Yes, and that can make relationships very difficult. Now, what about resilient people? Henry, do you know this word?
Yes, resilient people can recover quickly from difficulties or emotional setbacks. They bounce back after challenging experiences.
Exactly. Resilience is a wonderful quality. A resilient person might feel sad or discouraged, but they don't stay down for long. They find ways to cope and move forward.
I think resilience is something we can all develop. It comes from having good coping strategies, supportive relationships, and a positive outlook.
I agree completely. Life will always have challenges, so resilience helps us navigate those difficult times.
Well said. Now, let's talk about vulnerable moments. Everyone has times when they feel vulnerable.
Yes, vulnerable means you feel emotionally exposed or unprotected. You might feel weak or easily hurt.
Right. For example, I felt vulnerable after sharing my personal struggles with my friend.
Good example. And you know what? It's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. In fact, showing vulnerability can make relationships stronger because it builds trust and intimacy.
That's very true. Being able to admit when you're struggling or when you need help is actually a sign of strength, not weakness.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about how to ask people about their personality and emotions. These are important conversation skills.
Good idea. A simple question is, what are you like? Or what kind of person are you?
Yes. And you might answer, I'm a friendly and creative person, or I'm quite shy and reserved.
Right. You can also ask, how would your friends describe you?
Oh, that's a great question. It makes people think about how others see them. Another good question is, are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Yes, that's very common in conversations. When asking about emotions, you can say, how are you feeling today? Or what's your mood like today?
Exactly. And if you want to be more specific, you can ask, how do you feel about the situation? Or how do you feel when that happens?
Good examples. You can also ask what makes you happy or what stresses you out.
Yes, these questions help people open up about their emotional experiences. Another one is, how do you handle stress? Or what do you do when you're feeling down?
Those are excellent questions for getting to know someone better. Now, let's talk about how to describe changes in emotions. You might say, I was happy, but now I'm feeling anxious.
Right. Or I started out excited, but then I got nervous.
Exactly. You can also say, my mood improved or my mood got worse.
Good examples. Another way is to say, I went from feeling stressed to feeling relaxed. Or I shifted from being angry to being calm.
Yes, those show transitions between emotional states. You can also say something lifted my spirits or something brought me down.
I like those expressions. Lifting your spirits means making you feel happier, and bringing you down means making you feel sad or discouraged.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about intensity of emotions. Sometimes we feel emotions strongly, and sometimes they're mild.
Right. You might say, I'm extremely happy, or I'm slightly annoyed.
Or I'm very excited versus I'm a little bit nervous.
Yes, using words like extremely, very, really, quite, a bit, and slightly helps show the intensity of what you're feeling.
Good point. You can also use words like absolutely, totally, or completely for very strong emotions.
Right. I'm absolutely thrilled, or I'm completely exhausted.
Perfect examples. Now, let's discuss how personality affects how we experience and express emotions.
Ooh, this is interesting. So, an extroverted person might express their emotions more openly and talk about their feelings easily.
Yes, while an introverted person might process their emotions internally and need time alone before discussing them.
Exactly. And an optimistic person might experience disappointment but quickly find hope again.
Right, while a pessimistic person might dwell on negative emotions longer.
Yes. And a sensitive person might feel emotions more intensely than someone who's less sensitive.
Absolutely, everyone experiences emotions, but our personalities influence how we feel them and show them.
That's such an important point. It reminds us that there's no right way to feel or express emotions. We're all different.
Exactly. The key is to understand yourself and express your emotions in healthy ways that work for you.
Well said. Now, let's talk about emotional maturity. This is about how well you understand and manage your emotions.
Yes, an emotionally mature person can recognize their feelings, understand why they feel that way, and choose appropriate responses.
Right. They don't let their emotions control them. Instead, they acknowledge their feelings and then decide how to act.
Exactly. For example, an emotionally mature person might feel angry, but instead of yelling or being aggressive, they calmly express their concerns.
Perfect example. Emotional maturity also means you can regulate your emotions. You can calm yourself down when you're upset or motivate yourself when you're discouraged.
Yes, self-regulation is a big part of emotional maturity. It takes practice, but it's something everyone can improve.
Definitely. Now, let's give some examples of how to talk about personality and emotions in real conversations. Should we do a little role play?
Sure, let's imagine we're at a party and we've just met. I'll start. Hi, I'm Henry. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Henry. I'm Mia. Great to meet you too. Are you enjoying the party?
Yes, it's nice, though I have to admit I'm not usually a big party person. I'm more of an introvert, so large gatherings can be a bit overwhelming for me.
Oh, I totally understand. I'm the opposite. I love parties and meeting new people. I'm quite extroverted, so this kind of event gives me energy. But I can see how it might feel overwhelming if you prefer quieter settings.
Exactly. I'm more comfortable in small groups where I can have deeper conversations. Actually, that's one thing I like about this corner. It's quieter here. So, what do you do, Mia?
I am a teacher. I work with teenagers, which can be really challenging, but also incredibly rewarding. I need to be patient and energetic, which matches my personality pretty well. What about you?
I'm an accountant. I know. People always assume accountants are boring, but I actually enjoy it. I'm quite detail-oriented and organized, so working with numbers suits me perfectly.
That doesn't sound boring at all. Everyone has different strengths. I'm terrible with numbers, honestly. I'm more creative and spontaneous, which is great for teaching, but not so great for managing my budget.
Well, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So, tell me, what kind of person would you say you are? How would your friends describe you?
That's a good question. I think my friends would say I'm cheerful, optimistic, and maybe a bit too talkative sometimes. I'm the kind of person who's always planning the next adventure or trying to make people laugh. What about you?
My friends would probably say I'm reliable and thoughtful. I'm the person they call when they need practical advice or help solving a problem. I'm also a good listener, which I think is important in friendships.
Those are wonderful qualities. Being reliable is so valuable. People need friends they can count on.
Thank you. So, how are you feeling about starting the new school year? I imagine teaching can be quite stressful.
I'm actually feeling really excited. I always get a little nervous the first day, wondering how the new students will be, but mostly I'm enthusiastic about it. I love fresh starts. How about you? Does your job stress you out?
Sometimes, especially during tax season, I definitely feel stressed when I have tight deadlines and lots of clients needing help at the same time. But most of the year, I feel pretty calm and relaxed at work.
That makes sense. Do you have any strategies for dealing with stress when it does happen?
Good question. I try to exercise regularly. It really helps me feel more relaxed. I also make sure to take breaks and not work too many hours in a row. And spending time in nature helps me recharge. What about you?
I love exercise too. Dancing is my favorite way to release stress. I also talk to my friends when I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm very open about my emotions, so sharing how I feel really helps me process things.
That's healthy. I'm not always as open about my emotions, but I'm working on it. I tend to keep things to myself until I've thought them through completely.
Everyone has their own way of processing feelings. As long as you eventually express them in some way, that's what matters.
Great role play. That felt like a very natural conversation about personality and emotions.
It really did. And notice how we used so many of the words and expressions we've been talking about today. That's how you can use this vocabulary in real life.
Exactly. Now let's do another scenario. How about a conversation between coworkers? I'll be a colleague who seems upset, and you notice and check on me.
Okay, great. I'll start. Hey, Henry, is everything okay? You seem a bit down today. You're usually so cheerful, but you've been quiet all morning.
Oh, hi, Mia. Yeah, I'm okay. Just feeling a bit frustrated. I've been working on this project for weeks, and my manager just told me we need to start over with a completely different approach.
Oh, no, that must be really disappointing. I can understand why you'd feel frustrated. You put so much effort into that project.
Thanks for understanding. I am disappointed, and honestly, I'm also feeling a bit anxious about meeting the deadline now. We've lost so much time.
That's completely understandable. I'd feel the same way in your situation. Are you feeling overwhelmed?
A bit, yeah. I'm trying to stay calm and think positively, but it's hard. I keep worrying about letting everyone down.
Henry, you're one of the most reliable people in this office. Everyone knows you always do your best work. Try not to be too hard on yourself. Is there anything I can do to help?
That's really kind of you to offer. Just talking about it actually makes me feel a bit better. I was bottling up these feelings all morning.
I'm glad you're talking about it now. Keeping emotions bottled up isn't healthy. You know what? Why don't we take a quick coffee break? Sometimes stepping away for a few minutes helps clear your head and reduces stress.
That's a good idea. I've been staring at my computer screen for hours. A break would probably help me feel more relaxed and ready to tackle this challenge.
Exactly. And remember, you're a very capable and determined person. You've handled difficult situations before, and you'll get through this one too.
Thanks, Mia. Your optimism is contagious. I'm starting to feel more hopeful already.
Perfect. That was a great example of a supportive conversation where someone notices another person's emotions and offers help.
Yes, and notice how we named the specific emotions.
frustrated, disappointed, anxious, overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And offering empathy and support can really help someone shift from negative emotions to more positive ones.
Well said. Now let's talk about some common mistakes English learners make when discussing personality and emotions.
Good idea. One common mistake is confusing bored and boring.
Oh, yes. Remember, you feel bored when something is boring. The thing is boring, you are bored.
Exactly. I'm bored means you feel uninterested. I'm boring means you're not interesting to others. Big difference.
Right. The same pattern applies to many emotion words. You feel interested when something is interesting. You feel excited when something is exciting.
Yes, another common mistake is using feel incorrectly. You should say, I feel happy, not I feel happiness. Or I feel nervous, not I feel nervousness.
Good point. Though you can say, I feel happiness in more poetic or literary contexts, in everyday conversation, we usually say, I feel happy.
Right. Another mistake is forgetting the verb to be with personality adjectives. You should say, I am shy, not I shy.
Yes, or she is confident, not she confident. Always include the verb.
Exactly. Also, learners sometimes confuse sensible and sensitive.
Oh, that's an important distinction. Sensible means you make good, practical decisions. You're reasonable and wise.
Right. And sensitive means you have strong emotional reactions or you're easily affected by things around you.
So you might say, she's very sensible. She always thinks before acting. Versus, he's very sensitive. He cries easily when watching sad movies.
Perfect examples. Another confusion is between nervous and excited. They're similar feelings, but different.
Yes, both involve feeling energized and alert, but nervous has a negative or worried element, while excited is positive and anticipatory.
Exactly. I'm nervous about the exam versus I'm excited about the party.
Good examples. Now, another mistake is using too many words when one would be enough. Learners might say, I am feeling very much angry, when they could just say, I'm very angry or I'm furious.
True. English has so many specific emotion words that you often don't need to add extra description. Instead of very, very happy, you can say thrilled or overjoyed.
Excellent point. Learning these specific vocabulary words makes your English sound more natural and fluent.
Definitely. Oh, and here's another common mistake. Saying, I have stress instead of I feel stressed or I'm stressed.
Good one. You can say, I have stress in my life, but when talking about the emotion, say, I'm stressed.
Right. Similarly, you say, I feel depressed, not I have depression. Well, you can say, I have depression if you're talking about the medical condition. But for the emotion, say, I feel depressed.
That's an important distinction. Now, let's talk about some tips for improving how you talk about personality and emotions in English.
Great. First tip, keep a feelings journal in English. Each day, write a few sentences about how you felt and why.
That's excellent advice. For example, you might write, Today I felt anxious because I had an important meeting. After the meeting went well, I felt relieved and proud.
Perfect. This helps you practice the vocabulary and also become more aware of your emotions.
Second tip, pay attention to how native speakers describe feelings in movies, TV shows, and podcasts.
Yes, notice the specific words they use and the expressions they choose. You'll learn natural, authentic ways to talk about emotions.
Third tip, practice describing your friends' and family members' personalities in English.
Good one. You might think, my sister is very outgoing and confident, but also quite stubborn sometimes.
Exactly. This mental practice helps make the vocabulary automatic.
Fourth tip, Don't be afraid to ask people about their feelings and personality. Questions like, how are you feeling about that? Or what kind of person are you? Are normal in English conversations.
Absolutely. English speakers generally appreciate when people show interest in their emotions and personality. It builds connection.
Fifth tip, learn word families together. If you learn anxiety, also learn anxious and anxiously.
Great strategy. Understanding how words change form helps you use them correctly in different contexts.
Sixth tip, use the new vocabulary in real conversations as soon as possible. Don't just study the words, actually use them.
Yes, even if you make mistakes, using the words in real communication helps them stick in your memory.
Seventh tip, create personality descriptions for fictional characters or famous people as practice.
Oh, I like this. You might say, Harry Potter is brave and loyal, but sometimes impulsive and stubborn.
Exactly. This makes practice fun and helps you remember the words better.
Eighth tip, learn the opposites together. If you learn optimistic, also learn pessimistic.
Yes, understanding opposites helps you remember both words and gives you more options for expression.
Ninth tip, pay attention to which prepositions go with emotion words. For example, angry about something or angry with someone.
Good point. These small details make your English sound more natural.
And finally, 10th tip, be patient with yourself. Learning to express emotions and personality in a new language takes time.
Such important advice. Don't expect perfection. Just keep practicing and you'll gradually become more comfortable and fluent.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about cultural differences in expressing emotions and personality.
Oh yes, this is important. Different cultures have different norms about showing emotions.
Right. In some cultures, expressing emotions openly is encouraged and seen as healthy and authentic.
Yes, while in other cultures, controlling or hiding emotions is considered more appropriate, especially in public or professional settings.
Exactly. For example, in many Western cultures, it's generally acceptable to express happiness, excitement, or even frustration quite openly.
True, while in some Asian or Northern European cultures, emotional restraint might be more valued.
Right. So when you're learning English, remember that the language itself comes from various cultures, and you might encounter different expectations about emotional expression.
Good point. In English-speaking countries like the US, UK, Australia, and Canada, there's generally more openness about discussing emotions, especially compared to a few decades ago.
Yes, mental health and emotional well-being have become much more common topics of conversation.
Absolutely. It's now quite normal to say things like, I'm seeing a therapist, or I'm working on my mental health.
Right, whereas in the past, people might have been more private about these topics.
And when it comes to personality, English-speaking cultures tend to value certain traits like confidence, independence, and being outgoing.
True, though this is changing. There's more appreciation now for different personality types, including introverts and sensitive people.
Yes, books like Quiet by Susan Cain have helped people understand that introverts have valuable qualities too.
Absolutely. The main thing to remember is that when speaking English, you can generally be open about emotions and personality, but always consider the context.
Right. What's appropriate with close friends might be different from what's appropriate in a job interview.
Exactly. Use your judgment about how much to share based on the situation and relationship.
Well said. Now, I think we should give some final practical examples of using this vocabulary in different contexts.
Good idea. Let's start with a job interview context. Imagine someone asks, how would you describe your personality?
Great question. You might answer, I would describe myself as reliable and detail-oriented. I'm also quite adaptable, so I handle change well. I'm naturally curious, which means I enjoy learning new skills. I think my colleagues would say I'm friendly and easy to work with.
Excellent answer. It's specific, positive, and relevant to work. Notice how you used multiple personality traits to give a complete picture.
Exactly. Now let's try a dating or friendship context. Imagine someone on a first date asks, what are you like?
Okay, you might say, I'm pretty easygoing and love to laugh. I'm curious about everything, so I ask a lot of questions. I hope that doesn't bother you. I'm loyal to my friends and family, and I'm quite optimistic. I try to see the good side of situations. I'm also a bit of a homebody, so I enjoy cozy nights in just as much as going out.
Perfect. That gives a well-rounded picture and sounds natural and friendly. Now let's try talking about emotions in a friendship context. Your friend asks, "You seem different today. Is everything okay?"
Good scenario. Thanks for noticing. I'm feeling a bit down today, actually. I got some disappointing news about a job I applied for, so I'm feeling kind of discouraged. I'll be okay, though. I just need a little time to process my feelings.
That's a great response. It's honest but not overly dramatic, and it shows emotional awareness. Now let's try a family context. Your parent calls and asks, "How are you? You sound tired."
You might say, I am tired. This week has been really stressful at work. I've been feeling overwhelmed with everything I need to do, but I'm trying to stay positive and take things one day at a time. How are you doing?
Excellent. You acknowledged your feelings, explained why, and then redirected to show interest in them.
Now, let's try a classroom or learning context.
Okay, imagine a teacher asks, "How do you feel about giving presentations?"
You could answer, honestly, I feel quite nervous about presentations. Public speaking makes me anxious, and I worry about making mistakes. But I know it's important to practice, so I'm trying to become more confident. I feel less nervous when I prepare thoroughly.
Perfect answer. It's honest about the challenge, but also shows a positive attitude about improving. Very realistic.
Thanks. These examples really show how we use personality and emotion vocabulary in everyday situations.
Absolutely. And notice how in all these examples, we're being authentic, but also appropriate for the context.
Exactly. You can talk about emotions and personality honestly without oversharing or being inappropriate.
Well said. Now, I think we've covered so much today. We've talked about personality traits, emotions, expressions, idioms, and practical usage.
We really have. I hope our listeners feel more confident about discussing these topics in English now.
Me too. Remember, these are some of the most useful topics in everyday conversation. Whether you're making new friends, going to job interviews, or just chatting with people, you'll need these words and expressions.
Absolutely. And the great thing is that talking about personality and emotions is interesting. It helps you connect with people on a deeper level.
So true. Now, we want to give you some homework, but don't worry, it's fun homework.
That's right. We'd like you to practice what you learned today. First, try describing your own personality using at least 5 adjectives. Think about what kind of person you are.
Good one. Second, keep a simple emotions journal for 1 week. Each day, write 2 or 3 sentences in English about how you felt that day and why.
And third, try using at least one new expression from today's episode in a real conversation. Maybe tell someone you're over the moon about something or that you're feeling under the weather.
Excellent practice ideas. And remember, making mistakes is totally normal and okay. It's part of the learning process.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more natural these words will become. Don't be afraid to use them, even if you're not sure you're using them perfectly.
Well said. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the English Podcast Classroom. We create new episodes regularly to help you improve your English.
Yes, please subscribe. And if you found this helpful, share it with your friends who are learning English too. Learning together makes it more fun.
Absolutely. You can also leave us a comment telling us what you'd like to hear in future episodes. We love hearing from our listeners.
We really do. Your feedback helps us create content that's useful for you.
So, Henry, how are you feeling about this episode?
I'm feeling really satisfied. I think we covered the topic thoroughly, and I hope our listeners learned a lot. How about you?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited for our listeners to practice these new words and expressions. I'm optimistic that this episode will really help people improve their English conversations.
Look at us using the vocabulary we just taught.
Exactly. See how natural it can be?
Perfect example for our listeners. This is how you use personality and emotion words in real conversations, naturally and authentically.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening to the English Podcast Classroom today.
Yes, thank you. We really appreciate you spending this time with us.
Remember, learning English is a journey, not a race. Be patient with yourself, practice regularly, and celebrate your progress.
Great advice. And don't forget, you're doing an amazing job by listening to podcasts like this. You're already improving your English.
So true. Every minute you spend listening and practicing makes you better.
Well, I think it's time to say goodbye. Until next time, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep having fun with English.
Yes. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next episode of the English Podcast Classroom.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Happy learning.